Okay, so remember when you're doing this procrastination thing, it starts out as emotional dysregulation. And there's a whole bunch of research that's coming out now about ADHD and just how severely emotional dysregulation can affect our ability to executively function, to do all of the things that life kind of demands of us, right? And I think that it's an unfair expectation for us to say, oh, well, you can go into life and you can like try and find joy in all of these things, when in fact, life requires us to kind of grind, right? Especially if you are a student in school. When you get older, you can choose different pathways that might help you in regards to managing your ADHD and the expectations of the world. But when you're a student in school, it's really difficult to manage your emotional dysregulation when it feels like the world around you is emotionally dysregulated. And the type of expectations that we have for students today, I think, are way too much. Like we are asking far too much for children for far too long. It's just too much. So, what do we do in a emotionally dysregulated state in an emotionally dysregulated world? The first thing that you have to recognize, one, that's the light bulb, right? That light bulb that has gone off. And if you haven't seen the other videos, go back and watch them where we go, oof, I'm in that place. I'm in that place where I'm bugging out and I'm frustrated and I feel like I'm going to flip the table and say, I don't care what my grade is, or I don't care what my job says, or I don't care what my spouse says, and I'm about to lose my mind, right? So we can feel that buzzy feeling happening. And before we go any further, we can have a plan, right? We can have a prioritization plan, we can have all of those things. But if we don't address our anxiety and manage that emotional dysregulation, it's all for naught because we're just going to go back into the burnout cycle. Our brain's going to do the things that cause us to not get the stuff done, which is going to create this perpetual cycle. And as a review, just to like go back to the burnout cycle and like what it looks like, this is what it looks like, right? So, like, I have super high energy to get the thing done at 2 o'clock in the morning, even though it was due like 3 days ago, right? And then, like, I can feel myself getting to the point because I can't manage this particular, I can't sustain this energy level forever. So, I'm starting to burn out and I'm starting to freak out and I'm starting to get depressed or angry or whatever it is. My emotional dysregulation is like through the roof. And that causes my exhaustion to increase and me disengaging. I don't want to do the stuff. I hate this. This is stupid. Why are you asking me to do this? It's not fair. It's not what I want to do. And then, bam, I hit the bug zapper. That's the bug zapper moment. And that's just when you flip the table, you make some choices that are not very good choices, right? And a lot of this has to do with mindfulness, okay? So, if possible, if you are able and conscious enough to recognize that buzzy feeling in your brain of I am close to burnout, one of the things that you can try to get your brain to do, and again, this is training you to take a different pathway. If you prefer to go into the I'm going to go into deadline mode or I'm going to go into fawn mode and I'm going to do all of the things except the thing because it works for me, stay on that pathway. Just be aware of the fact that you're going to get zapped. It's going to happen. So, like, if that's the pathway that you choose, sometimes that works for people. But if you want a different pathway, one of the things that you can start to do is to look for anchor points in your day. Okay. Moments of mindfulness. And it's really difficult for ADHD folks, at least I have found, to be mindful in ways that are considered to be like, traditional mindfulness because like normally I say mindfulness and meditation and people think of like a guru sitting on like so here's my little guru and like they're sitting with their legs crossed on like a lotus leaf and they're like having a moment of zen, right? And they're like yay zen huzzah, right? And like that's really difficult for ADHD folks, right? Instead there are little moments in which you can take to do mindfulness. So one of the things that I recommend all people do, but especially ADHD kids do, in the morning, get active, be active, be active, be active. I run anywhere from 3 to 12 miles, depending on how bad my anxiety is in the morning. You do not have to do 12 miles if you want to go for a walk in the morning, but going for a morning outside physical activity is really great for mindfulness and allowing yourself to have an anchor moment. If not that, then give yourself other anchor moments. And these are just moments in which you go, you know what? I really like the smell of my shampoo. And just like take like 5 seconds and be like, that smells good. That smells real good. Like my husband is obsessed with colognes and he smells really good. My husband's obsessed with colognes and he takes a moment every day and picks out the cologne he's going to wear because that's his mindfulness moment and it anchors him in the present because that's really hard for us to do. Our time management is difficult. So taking a moment, be like, I'm going to take 20 minutes to pick out my outfit, right? Now, obviously, if you're getting yelled at by your mom because you're taking too long, maybe don't take 20 minutes. Maybe like take a moment in the week to pull the outfit that you want to wear, but give yourself some time to admire. And throughout the day, I always like using meal times as a place for mindfulness, right? So turn off the phone, don't scroll, like take a moment and like really enjoy your food, right? Hopefully you can sit outside in the sunshine and eat. That's great if you can do that. But like these moments in which you are having fun, like cooking with your family, right? Or maybe like listening to music while you're cooking with your family. These are mindful moments and they can help with the emotional dysregulation that you start to feel when you feel your anxiety and that buzzy brain creeping up, right? So, step one, make sure that you can manage your anxiety. Try to do it throughout the day. And if you can't, instead, do some things that are going to help you. So remember, the fight is like I'm getting angry at people and I'm yelling at them. The freeze is I can't stop looking at my phone and I am just like zoning out all the time, or not at your phone. Maybe it's I'm scrolling, I'm sitting on Netflix and like I can't get off of it or whatever it is. Flight is just like I'm avoiding it. I am not doing that. I am going someplace else. I'm going to go I'm going to go outside and I'm going to avoid the room full of all of the stuff that I need to clean and things that I need to do. Like there's a butterfly. I'm going to go look at the butterfly, right? And then fawn is when you're doing that over processing and doing everything except the thing that you're supposed to do, right? So managing your anxiety, and you can go on YouTube and find all of these things about like different things that you can do for your anxiety. But I do like when you feel the procrastination cycle starting to come up, actually looking at the ways that you can manage this. This is cortisol in your brain, right? So your brain is like, I am going to go straight to stress and I'm going to use stress to fuel me. That's fine. Go work out. Go work out. Give yourself 20 minutes to go work out, hopefully outside, right? Freeze. Put the phone down. Put it away. Doom scrolling causes your anxiety to increase. Even if it's just I'm looking at the good stuff, there will always be something that pops up into your feed that's going to give you anxiety. And it's just enough to stop the cycle of I'm feeling good, I'm feeling happy. So if you are freezing, if you can feel yourself being like, I'm avoiding this thing and I'm like doom scrolling in order to avoid it, go sit in the feeling of discomfort. Sit outside with nothing. And like literally, if you want to like turn music on, that's great. But I would suggest just sit in silence for like 10 minutes if you can, right? So just literally sit there. And if 10 minutes in silence is not going to work for you, fine. Listen to an audiobook, but put the phone down because that is functional freeze. Flight, when you're avoiding things and you're literally not going into the place where it is. So, like if you're supposed to do your homework in your room and you're like not going into your room, or maybe you're leaving your textbook at school so that you don't have to like even try and do it. In those cases, a little bit of exposure therapy is helpful. Okay. So, one of the things that you can do, let's say, for example, that you have a math packet that you need to do. You've been avoiding the math packet, so it's shoved down at the bottom of your book bag and you just like don't even take it out. Step one, put the math packet on the desk. You have a messy room that you have been avoiding and like you literally don't go into that closet because you're like, I don't want to deal with it. Open the door to the closet. Just allow it to exist. Be aware of it, right? Because when we close the door on those things or we avoid those things, we are physically removing them from our environment. So when we flight, when we run away, part of it is being like, I can't run away from this thing. It's physically there. Let it be there. All right. Little bit of exposure therapy. And then the last one, to fawn, to do everything else, give yourself a list of 5 things that you're allowed to do before you start the thing. If you can, try to make those 5 things related to the thing. So if it's an essay that you've been putting off, what are 5 tiny little steps that you can do to like start the process, but not actually start the process? I can open my laptop. I can grab the rubric. I can grab my tea, right? Maybe tea helps me concentrate. I can turn on my wax warmer so that my room smells nice and pretty, right? And I can grab my brainstorming sheets and my pen so that everything is ready. And then I'm going to stop and I'm going to go give myself a 10-minute mental break. And then I'm going to come back, right? So give your mind the productivity that's swirling around the thing that you're trying to avoid, okay? All right. The next step in pandas, after you have done that, is to make a decision about what's going to work for you to get the thing done. All right. Autonomy is really, really important. And like I said, this is adapted from a demand avoidance kind of approach, but your brain is avoiding a demand, so you can kind of do this for yourself, right? So what's going to work with you? So for some of us, Pomodoros work. You set a timer. I'll show you my Pomodoro right now, in fact. So here's my Pomodoro. I have 8 minutes and 23 seconds left to work. So you set a timer and you say, okay, brain, we're going to do this for 25 minutes. And that can work great. And this can work great for a long period of time. That worked great for me all through college. That's literally how I got through college, was using Pomodoros, and then it stopped working. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. So we have to adapt because our brain is neuroplastic. And so that means that neuroplasticity means it adapts and changes, which is good. That's a good thing. We want that. Our brain should adapt, right? So what do we do then when the Pomodoro doesn't work anymore? Maybe you can use a space tool. Is there a place that you can go that's different, right? So going to your local library, going to your local coffee shop, going where other people are working in a productive fashion that you can actually concentrate. One of my favorite things to do when my Pomodoros aren't working is I will grab my headset and I will grab my iPad, and I'll go to the local coffee shop. And even though it's loud, I put my headphones on. And because other people around me are working and being productive, my brain is kind of like, oh, this is the place that we're supposed to be productive. This is a productive place. And so it wants to mimic that. And it's trying to be social and the place that we're doing productive things, right? That's why libraries work as well. Now, it doesn't work for everyone because they get too distracted by other people. And that's definitely a thing that can sometimes happen. But let's say that the Pomodoro isn't working and you try changing up your space. Sometimes that can work. Going outside, also, I'm a big proponent of that. You can also try a framework tool, right? So you can frame it in a way that you can say, this is not something that I enjoy, right? I don't necessarily enjoy doing math packets. It's not my favorite thing to do. But what if instead I said, I'm going to do this now and I'm going to get it done because I know that insert thing here, right? I'm going to feel better about myself. I don't have to worry about it after this. I get to do, the fun thing that I want to do. Or even just like changing the way that you do this. I'm going to do this math packet, but I'm going to do all of the problems backwards. So instead of ending on problem number 25, I'm going to start with problem number 25, right? So getting some novelty in there and doing it in a different way, right? Can you change your mindset about it? That's kind of a harder one. And that's much more, usually I like to say this as far as like if it's a room cleaning thing, like if you can't get yourself to clean the room, what will feel better? I will feel better when my room is clean because I can find all my paintbrushes. I like the feeling of being able to find my paintbrushes when I'm looking for them. So I want that feeling. So what's the first thing I'm going to do in order to feel that way is the first thing I'm going to clean up is my paintbrushes. And now my framework for the thing that I've been avoiding, aka cleaning my room, has changed. I like the feeling of my space being clean, and therefore I'm going to clean the space in order for me to feel better, right? So you can also use a reward tool. This doesn't always work for us. I usually like doing the reward tool as nope time. Some people call this white time on your white space on your calendar, but basically this is I know that I want to enjoy my time when I'm not doing this. And in order for me to fully enjoy my time when I'm not doing this, I have to get this thing out of my way. So if I want to go up into the mountains and hike by myself all day and not worry about what's going to happen when I get in my car and drive home, I have to make sure that I clean the house. I have to, because otherwise, the entire time I'm hiking up on a mountain and there's no cell phone service and there's nothing but me and woods, I'm going to be like, and then I got to go into the next room and then I got to scrub the floors and then I got to do it. Like, so all of those things are going to pile up. And my framework for my reward is not going to be fun. Okay. But you can also do other things too. So you can use this one sparingly, especially if you're a parent looking at like helping kids, because this can be very frustrating. You're like, why don't you just want to do your homework first and then you can join your video games? Well, it doesn't always work that way, right? But you can sometimes use it as a reward tool, like, hey, do 5 problems, and then immediately after you do those 5 problems, you're going to be able to take a snack, right? Try a Pomodoro for 10 minutes, and then immediately after the Pomodoro, you can have like a 3-minute break. Okay. So, like, stack some of these as far as like negotiating and collaborating. And just remember the feedback loop, right? So, the feedback loop has to be very immediate. If you tell me that something is due in 2 weeks, that's not now. And my brain exists in either now or not now. So you can't tell me that I'm going to get a reward in a week for doing all of my homework because that's not now. that reward doesn't exist, right? So what's my reward for doing it right now? So always remember the feedback loop. What's the immediate thing that I can do, right? If I have to sit down and do my math homework, at least let me wear like a funny hat while I'm doing it. All right. If I have to go and work on my essay, at least let me listen to my lo-fi girl. By the way, if you're like, what is lo-fi girl? Hang on, let me show you. Let's see if I have her up. Yep, I sure do. At least let me listen to my lo-fi girl while I actually do it because she calms me and she soothes me. Yeah. Right. So this is also kind of body doubling as well. Okay. All right, so let's stop it there and we'll talk about the last two steps in a minute.